We are here, episode 7 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter Henry, Bryan Fonseca. It's been a while since it's been just the two of us. First, we'd like to thank people who watched the live edition of our podcast, where we had some guests on a couple weeks ago. It was a special edition, but now we're back to your regularly scheduled program here. Bryan Fonseca, Dexter Henry. No guests this week, just us. So you get to enjoy us talking about, and a lot has gone on in the world of sports since we've been gone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
A lot of things going on.
Not just sports either.
Not just sports. Yeah, everything. Entertainment, politics, Harvey Weinstein being crazy out there with sexual harassment of women, which is never good at all whatsoever. And props to all the women who are coming forward and speaking out on this.
Absolutely.
So I just want to say that as a little aside. Yeah. But the biggest thing for me that has me happy is, I'm a League Pass junkie. And the NBA season has officially begun.
Yes, sir.
It started. We are underway. And a lot has happened. For most teams, it's been about 6 games. Most teams have played anywhere between 4 to 6 games.
Yep.
But a lot has happened. What are your thoughts about the NBA season early on and what we have seen? Players going down, all crazy stuff happening. What are your thoughts on what's going on with the NBA season?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on this on the live edition a little bit about Gordon Hayward getting hurt.
Yeah.
Jeremy Lin ends up getting out for the season. And for those of you who don't know, we also cover the Nets for Nets Daily. Speaking of, I was at Nets versus Cavs earlier this week.
Very good game.
Yeah, and LeBron had 8 turnovers, and they ended up beating the Cavs, and then they turned around Friday and got destroyed by your New York Knickerbockers.
Woo! First win of the season for the Knicks.
However,
yes,
you want to tank.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't think that that's in line with your plans.
Yeah, but I also didn't want to see the Knicks start off 0-8 and that win.
Why not? But if you're 0-82,
you want to see players develop. So you don't want people to get used to losing. That's the thing. That's the one thing with tanking. I think you always have to be careful about. Yes, you might want your team to necessarily try to get a higher draft pick, but you don't want those players to get comfortable with losing. I don't want Porzingis, Frank Ntilikina getting used to losing too much. So I don't want them to win or be a playoff contender, but I want them to, have a taste of winning, and they got a taste of that. And I'll talk about when I got to see the Knicks live and close in person in their home opener.
So like
the disaster that was.
So like there's moderation in how much alcohol you should be drinking. There's moderation in how much losing you should be doing too as an NBA rookie.
There's probably also moderation in how much Knicks fans should be watching, because that's a whole nother story of what you should be doing. But the Nets, let's talk about them, because they're 3-3.
I'm sure Net fans will be happy we're starting the podcast with them.
And I don't think many people would have thought the Nets. You look at the standings, they've got to be one of the surprise teams thus far through 6 games. The Nets at 3-3.
Absolutely.
They're playing hard for Kenny Anderson. They actually have no incentive to want to tank. And they've been playing very well. So what are your thoughts on them? Obviously, we covered the team, but what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, and having, we've seen them up close, and I saw them against the Cavs. I mean, they look. And that was without D'Angelo Russell, by the way. Without D'Angelo Russell, without Jeremy Lin, granted, they beat a Cavs team that didn't have Dwayne Wade or Isaiah Thomas.
And who stepped up big in that game? Friend of the podcast, guest of the podcast, Spencer Dinwiddie, was balling out of his mind in that game, looking real good. So I'm proud to see he's really embracing his role, but I'll let you get back.
He had 22 points. The game after that, he had 11 assists in the loss against the Knicks, which is also his career high. But he seems to be running the offense better than D'Angelo Russell is so far. And, there's obviously something to be said for his familiarity in the system, having been in there a year earlier. D'Angelo Russell still has to get accustomed to it. But, with these kind of things, it'll take some time to gel, as we know. But once they hit their stride, I mean, we've already seen kind of like a prelude to this. Like, they're going to be a tough team for even the good teams to truly beat. That's not to say they're going to be a team that's going to get 45 wins or whatever the case may be right off the bat.
Yeah.
I do think it's still possible that even without Jeremy Lin, that they can get to 40. Although they do have some lingering, like just nagging, Quincy AC and Damari Carroll are kind of like day-to-day with some injuries. I believe both of them are out for the game that's going on right now. Whenever you find this, we happen to be doing this while the Nets are playing the Denver Nuggets, which is 10 minutes away from where, we're at. But, yeah, so I think that with Brooklyn, they've shown that they have a lot of potential in this system, and the scary thing is that their young players are getting better.
Yeah, you like that. You like what you see from Dinwiddie. You like what you see from Karis LeVert, who's played very well.
People lose sight of that. People lose sight of the fact that D'Angelo Russell's 21, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, who seems to have a mid-range jumper now.
Yeah, which he's impressed me a lot. There's a couple of people who have impressed me with the Nets earlier this season. He's been one.
22 years old.
Also, Jarrett Allen, the minutes he's come and played in,
yes.
The Nets look like they hit something on that pick.
Yes.
So kudos to their front office once again.
Dinwiddie's 24, Karis LeVert's 23. Yeah, he's my age. Yeah.
When you look around the league, obviously Giannis has been balling out of his mind and looks like somebody that can't be stopped right now. Yeah. I don't like talking about people who are early favorites for MVP after 6 games. I think that's stupid.
Not in October.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. I was at the Knicks home opener, which was a disaster. They blew a 21-point lead. But it was cool because I got to take my daughter to her first Knicks game. But outside of that, it was a disaster. Yeah. And
learn how to deal with pain early.
Yeah, I just hope she doesn't have to deal with too much of it. But the Knicks fans were chanting, some Knicks fans, I won't say all of them, were chanting Porzingis, who's played very well early in the season, 3 30-point games out of 4, and and they were chanting MVP, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Anyway.
Oh, but in New York, I mean, you know.
Come on. Well, they got to cheer about something this year, so we'll say that. You've got the Magic, who are 4-1.
Yes.
I would say they haven't beaten anybody, but they had a good win against the Spurs. The Bucks are 4-2. The Celtics are 4-2, despite the Gordon Hayward injury. We talked about Giannis a little bit. I mentioned him. The Celtics, I've been very impressed with their young players, Tatum and especially Jaylen Brown, who stepped up well. And I think this is could be an interesting experience this season for the Celtics, and maybe some of the young players are going to have to grow up fast.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, and are they still contenders? I don't see them as title contenders anymore, but I see this as a situation where young guys can learn on the fly.
No.
Not a title contender. I love when Brian gives a word more to answers. He's like, nope.
No.
Like, that's just it. Like, no, they're not. I agree with you.
Even with Gordon Hayward, though, like, I was like, nah, man. Like,
they still didn't have enough.
You got to show me more than just, I mean, granted, Isaiah Thomas' injury is going to keep him out for longer than I anticipated, and I'm sure other people did initially. Like, he's probably going to be out till January-ish.
That's what people are saying,
January.
January.
But I still think that, I mean, with LeBron there, it's just really the difference for me in the East.
Are you surprised? The Cavs, they've struggled. They lost 3 out of 4. Are you surprised at this point now? They are 3-3 at the time we're recording this podcast. Are you surprised with how badly they've struggled? I not, because of the amount of players, 8 new players they have on the roster.
Yeah,
I'm not as surprised.
That's why I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
It's also, like, with the Cavs, it's also, like, they do this. I mean, teams with LeBron have done this in the past, where early on they just can't seem to, like, really gel, get it together. And LeBron teams recently, because they're always chasing a championship, there seems to be a lot of movement going on in the offseason leading up to the actual regular season. Mm-hmm. And with that, Kyrie Irving obviously being the big piece that moves, you get Isaiah Thomas, who's not even able to play yet. Dwayne Wade, we know that he's not what he was, although he still can give you, like, a lot. He's kind of shown flashes of that. I think it was last game, was it? Where he like, had a 2-handed dunk or whatever. Like, he can still get up, apparently. But he's not going to be what he was before. So a lot of things still need to gel. On paper, they're deeper than they used to be. They used to be like a team that had, trouble with guys who were too old. They weren't athletic on the wing. Now they got Jay Crowder. So they got all these things going on. My favorite thing that happened in the NBA season so far, though, is I want to get into the dirt. Like, we could only do so much actual basketball analysis. I want to talk about Lonzo Ball and Patrick Beverley.
Oh, man.
Lonzo Lonzo Ball.
Well, I'll talk about Lonzo Ball with everybody, because everybody's coming at him.
Lonzo versus everybody on his shirt.
And particularly Beverley in Lonzo's first game, he was all in Lonzo's grill.
That's my guy.
All over the court. He was in his face, letting him know. I thought Lonzo Ball was going to have a lot of this happen this year. People are going to come at him, particularly much because his father talks too much. Mm-hmm. And he's been titled. He can say what he wants to say, but he talks a lot and is hyped to set up. So you knew people were going to come at his neck. Like, we all knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You like Patrick Beverley coming at him.
Patrick Beverley is one of my 3 favorite players in the NBA.
Patrick Beverley.
4 players in the NBA.
The list is going to expand. Is Patrick Beverley on the same level as your admiration for Freddie Gibbs? That's what we need to know. Is he on the same level as the admiration for Freddie Gibbs? And for people who don't know, we went through the entire live podcast, and I didn't even mention Freddie Gibbs.
Well, Never mind. What's it called? So with Patrick Beverly, he's one of my favorite players in the NBA because he's just a dog. Like every successful team needs something like that on their team. Like somebody who's like him. Like I would love it if, let's say, I had a favorite team and he was on that team. Like yes, like I would love. In 2K, I might trade for him. Like I'm dead serious. In 2K, I might actually pull the trigger and try to get Patrick Beverly on my squad.
He's somebody that's gonna get up in your grill.
Yeah,
He's
I know some people who don't
you.
like that though. Like,
well, don't like it. You see, I see Patrick Beverly's a guy you like if he's on your team, but if he's not on your team, you're not feeling him.
Like
you
Kevin
don't.
Garnett.
Yeah, but I respect him as a player too. So he got in Lonzo's grill. Everybody's coming for Lonzo, and you hear all this talk about who's Lonzo playing against. Now the Wizards the other day, and I watched this game, Wizards versus Lakers. I think it was ESPN game the other night, and Marcin Gortat decided to open his mouth and pretty much said, I'm paraphrasing here, you know, John Wall was going to give him buckets. Yeah. I think he said he was going to torture him for 48 minutes.
Yes,
I think that was the exact quote.
Good
Torture
line.
for 48 minutes.
Line.
Which I was like, oh man, I want to see this.
Yes.
Like, let's see this. Let's get real spicy here. But it didn't get spicy. There was no spice to this at all whatsoever. John Wall outplayed Lonzo Ball for 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter and overtime, John Wall had 2 points. And he missed the potential game-winning 3. So basically, John Wall did nothing.
Yeah.
He did nothing at all whatsoever. Look, you can't have your man talk for you and say your man is going to do this, and then when you show up, you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, where I'm from, if you do that, you got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, Marcin Gortat, they should have just suspended him 2 games for that. Like, you can't talk that spicy and then not show up and do it. And John Wall didn't do anything.
G-code.
And John Wall, what's up? You didn't even back your man up.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
That's true.
He didn't back his man up.
That's true.
And Lonzo didn't play great in that game, but he got the win, though. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
He got the win. For the most part, I mean, you've seen in Lonzo like how he can play. I mean, it's very exciting to just kind of think that what he could be amidst all of the BS going on around him. Ben Simmons is somebody else who's really impressed me so far too. He's better. He's come along. Like he's better than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be good.
It's funny. That was a direct quote from Rick Carlisle the other night, who said that he thought he was better than he would be in the Sixers' win over the Mavericks. Ben Simmons has played extremely well. He's looked good. The same thing with him and Ball. I'll say if they can ever get their jump shots to be respectable, then I think, and by respectable I mean that when your jump shot's not respectable, that means when you pull up, dudes ain't even running out to like close out on you. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna let him shoot that.
Yeah,
like
we're living with that.
We're living with that. When it's respectable, dudes got to think and be like, yo, all right, like I need to close out on this guy. If they get to the point where dudes actually have to close out on them, then you know what it is. You know who was like that? We just mentioned him, John Wall.
Yeah.
When he came in the league, his shot was not respectable.
Rondo's still like that.
Rondo's shot's never been respectable.
After 12 years.
I'm not sure it's ever going to be.
Is Lonzo Ball's shot respectable?
Not right now.
No. I'm talking about his form. I don't care about like whether his shot is good or not.
I'm of this. I don't care. I don't care how you shoot it. If it goes in, it goes in. If it's working for you, it works.
That looks like trash.
I'm not saying I want to watch it. It doesn't look like Ray Allen. It don't look like Steph Curry. But not saying that he's ever going to shoot like those guys because he probably won't. But I mean, if he starts making it, it's fine.
You know who has a nice looking jump shot?
Who?
Dirk Nowitzki. The reason why I bring that up is because what do you make of him giving all this money back to Dallas and they're 1-6 to start another season where they're going to be awful, and Mark Cuban keeps getting him to take pay cut after pay cut after pay cut, and Dallas wants to get another title and they're not going to get it, and Dirk's going to retire having only one championship, losing all that money and not getting anything from it.
Yeah, I'd be mad. I'd be like, look, I took less money basically over the last 4 to 6 years, and then what have you put around me? Harrison Barnes,
Wesley
Matthews. You find Nerlens Noel,
Seth Curry.
Oh yeah, that's gonna get it done.
Seth Curry.
Yeah,
Seth
I mean that's why. Look, this is why I've had this conversation with my boy all the time, and he always said he was a Laker fan. He never faulted Kobe for taking the big contract to end. He's like, look, you only have a finite amount of time as a player. Now, did Kobe handcuff the Lakers and what they could do? Absolutely no doubt.
Yeah, but so what?
But you know what? Kobe's value to that franchise and what he had given them. Look, I ain't mad at the brother getting paid.
That's what I was going to say. If someone offers, if you know a company has a certain amount of money left in their budget and they're willing to throw you that amount, like a large portion of it, are you going to be like, nah, I think we should take a pay cut and get such and such and such?
And no, and anybody who's criticizing the person who's doing that, I'm going to just keep it real. We don't believe you. We need more people. I don't believe you in that at all. Don't tell me you're not going to do that. I don't buy that for 1 second.
Real quick, I want a Utah Jazz update from Matthew Feniza. Do you have a headset? You don't have a headset today?
No, we're going to have to get it from him in a second.
So come over here and give us your Utah Jazz.
No, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to get him to talk about his Utah Jazz upside. Our producer Matthew Feniza is a big Utah Jazz fan.
We're ghetto here today.
And I spoke with Matt about this earlier, that people thought the Jazz were going to be offensively challenged, and they have been looking a little bit better than what people might have thought. And the boy Donovan Mitchell, that man can cook. He's cooking. Like Donovan Mitchell's been looking pretty good.
The Nets
so we come back. We're going to see what Matt thinks about his Jazz. He's like the only Jazz fan
in America.
Not in America. I was going to say in New York, where we film and we record this podcast, he's probably the only Jazz fan. But he's a loyal Jazz fan. He's not going anywhere. He's like, Gordon Hayward's not here. We're still good. We're not worried. We're still here to stay. We'll be back. When we come back, we're going to ask Matt what he thinks about the Jazz. We are also going to talk a little bit about how things got real in the NFL again, with the Houston Texans and their owner making some dumb comments. A baseball player on the Astros. A lot of things bad going on in Houston right now. On the Houston Astros, making some idiotic racist gestures.
Yeah.
And how we're not here for that. So we're going to come back. We're going to talk about that in segment 2 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. It ain't hard to tell where to get the latest merchandise from Backpack Broadcasting. Gear is now available via tee.pub. Visit the Backpack Broadcasting tee.pub online store to get shirts, hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Represent your favorite Backpack Broadcasting shows, including the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, and of course, the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Check out the special offers for our podcast listeners at http://t.pub/LIC/backpack. Get in the game with your official Backpack Broadcasting gear today. What's up, listeners? You know sometimes how it can be hard just to get from point A to point B. Now, when I have to get anywhere and I don't want to deal with the hassle of public transportation, it ain't hard to tell how I get around. I always make sure to use the best car service app in the game. I'm talking about Lyft. Lyft offers rides in minutes. All you have to do is download the Lyft app, request a ride, and you will be on your way quickly. Lyft is all about happy riders and happy drivers. Take a ride with them and you'll see why 9 out of 10 rides end up with a 5-star rating. Lyft always has amazing offers for new customers, and I'm here to tell our listeners about a great offer today. Lyft is currently offering free ride credit to Ain't Hard to Tell listeners. If you are new to Lyft, then you are eligible, and getting your credit is easy. All you have to do is download the app and use the promo code AHTTPOD to unlock your free credit today. Ain't hard to tell who has the best car app service, so use the code today and ride out loud with Lyft.
Sports Guru is the place where fans talk about sports via video. All videos are 60 seconds or shorter. Sports Guru makes the video look more professional and fun by adding automated on-screen graphics. You can follow your favorite sports by team, trending, new, or by people you follow, and more. Type in the title of your video and it will auto-magically go into your on-screen graphics. It's just that simple. Tag your teams and publish sports. Let's talk sports.
All right, welcome back. Episode 7, Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. We are back here, and right before our break, we were talking about our producer, executive producer, Matthew Feniza, who is a huge Utah Jazz fan. One of the few in New York, Utah Jazz guy. And Matt, you know, he wasn't too heartbroken when Gordon Hayward went away east to the Celtics. Because he was like, yo, Dex, we gonna be all right. We gonna be fine. Yeah. We are going to be okay. Matt.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Good.
How you guys doing?
How are you feeling about the Jazz right now?
3-3
you
Jazz.
guys are 3-3. Offensively, hasn't been as rough as maybe some people thought you guys would be. I know you like Donovan Mitchell.
I do.
And I told you I liked him. He's cooking real well.
He is.
How are you feeling about the Jazz right now? Do you miss Gordon Hayward?
No.
Damn. That was a Bryan answer.
Yeah. I take it from Bryan. I don't miss Gordon Hayward. People
Because you knew he was going to Boston, right?
Yeah, I did. And you threw it in my face as soon as you heard the rumors, and I knew it was true because Bryan has some good sources. But as soon as
some people don't give him credit for.
Yeah, people don't give him credit for.
I want to say
give him credit. Give Bryan credit where credit's due. As soon as he was hurt, people came up to me saying, "Yo, Hayward, I'm so sorry, man." I said, "Why? He's not on my team anymore. I don't care." So he's gone. My love for him is still there as a player, but he's not leading my team. As far as the Jazz, 3 for 3, not the greatest. I expect them to do a little bit better. Their offense is lacking big. I mean, they lost against Phoenix.
That was not a good look.
That was a terrible look.
That's true.
They lost against the Clippers the game before, and DeAndre Jordan just knows how to run that team. He's a leader on that team, so I understand they got hammered in the paint from him, but they need Rubio's taking control. He's stepping up more than I thought he would. Mitchell's doing well. I feel like he's filling in the role where Hayward would be, so I'm kind of proud of the kid. Hood was injured the first 2 games, so he had to step in, and he got the 2 starting roles, and he performed, which I was proud of.
You're giving a serious answer.
Gobert's the man.
What did you expect?
What did you expect?
You thought he was going to bring
Jazz.
it? Yeah.
Nah, it's my Jazz. Gobert's the man.
I wasn't expecting such hardcore analysis. I just want to ask you what color jersey, what color Donovan Mitchell jersey you're going to get?
I don't know. I like those gold joints they got.
I do like those.
The new
the alternates. I do like those.
And as far as the advertising things they have in the jerseys nowadays,
are you getting foam posits to go with it?
No, I don't. I don't wear foam posits. I don't know what that is. I mean, I wear Vans.
It's like, yo,
what's a foam posit?
Yo, he's trying to be a stylist now.
Yeah, man. No, but like I said, Jazz, I feel like they should be doing better. They beat OKC, and that game was great. You saw the highlights with me. They knew how to pass the ball around Rubio and Gobert. It's kind of reminded me of Stockton Malone, but that's another story.
Whoa.
I said it's hey, Rubio has stats that only 3 other players, I think, have. Don't quote me on this. And Stockton's one of them.
Assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah, and Stockton's one of them. So he's kind of like that player.
So you're feeling good overall. You're feeling good about the Jazz.
They should be doing better, but yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
Rubio still can't shoot.
They're middle. Yeah, no, he can't. I agree with you on that. He cannot shoot for anything.
So for friends of the podcast, there's your Utah Jazz report.
Yeah, yes. Too much of it.
We will check in with Matthew Faniza later in the season.
Please.
Later in the episode.
Probably. He'll probably have to come back later in episode 2 about how the Jazz are doing. But we're going to move on to the lovely city of Houston, Texas. Which Houston, they've had a rough year. Obviously with the hurricane, the devastation, the people there have been hurting, the flooding.
You've been to Houston.
Everything. Now I've been to Houston, nice city, very nice people, very humid in the summer, but I really like it down there. But the theme has lately been Houston strong, but like the last week in Houston, it's been Houston wrong. Things have not been going good at all. Okay, like not good at all. First, we're going to start. Let's stick with the NFL. We've given the NFL a lot of grief this year so far, and the Texans owner Bob McNair was quoted in an interview, which he was talking about the players and their protests, Bryan, and how he felt about that. And he said, "quote, we can't have inmates running the prison."
I'm gonna let that say asylum. He just said prison.
Prison. So I'm gonna let that breathe for a second. What were your thoughts? We're laughing because we have an update on our rundown. And if you
the show within the show.
If you look at somebody like Bob McNair,
who turns 80 in
I hate
December.
I hate to say it's starting to become this, and it sounds real judgmental. Yeah. But when I look at Bob McNair and I hear those words, which have a very negative connotation, I'm like, yo, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. He looks like somebody who would say that. He looks like somebody who would say that about a league that's 70% African American. Yeah. I have my thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on what he said? And then obviously the Houston Texans players in their game on Sunday, they decided to protest. The majority of the players, I think except for 4, took a knee. I don't know what that was going to do against Bob McNair. I'm a little bit over the kneeling and the fake unity. I've said this before. What do you think about Bob McNair's comments and the players' response to that?
I wasn't surprised when I heard it because of all those things we said, and not even just getting to how he looks or whatever the case may be, or the fact that he's in Texas, but the fact that he's an NFL owner, I kind of expected. I'm more surprised that when it's an NFL owner and they're the opposite.
Progressive.
Although, yeah, I don't know if there's one coming to mind right now.
No, I think Paul Allen with the Seahawks is. I think he's shown to be.
Yeah. Well, also he's in Seattle. I mean, that also kind of helps.
Yeah.
Just being in that city. But
I'm not going to speak for anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, with the whole Houston thing, it's just you saw a couple players respond. Dwayne Brown responded. DeAndre Hopkins didn't show up to practice.
Best response.
Unfortunately, if you're an owner, you're putting players in a position where it's like the best they can do is not show up. And the players don't want to not show up because, they want to get paid or they love their sport, rightfully so. But then it still causes people to look at players like in Dallas, for example, people to look at Des Bryant and Ezekiel Elliott and be like, yo, why don't you take a knee? You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you just not show up, not play? But then they're like, I don't want to not play because I love football. I want to be out here. Like, these are my brothers and all this and that. But everybody's like, your owner's racist. And it's just trying to, force upon them, to take a stance. Some people don't want to lean left, lean right, lean wrong, whatever the case may be. Some people don't want to pick a side. They just kind of want to focus on them. But now we're in a climate, as you know, we can't just focus on the thing we do. We have to be out there and cognizant of these other things.
I think when you look at these comments from Bob McNair and you look at the comments that you've seen from Jerry Jones, and I'll get to that. I thought Jerry Jones put the players on Dallas in a tough situation where I'll speak on this because as a black person, I think the black community will look at these players like, what are you guys going to do? You're going to let this man tell y'all what to do?
Exactly.
And that's, I think, how a lot of people are looking at situations like this with these players. I like what DeAndre Hopkins did. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the more higher profile guys on the team. He has a lot of guaranteed money. He said, yo, I'm not here for this, and went home. And what were the Texans going to do? What did they put out a statement saying? He took a personal day. We know it wasn't a personal day. Was he didn't want to be around that negativity, that racist negativity that came from his owner. Now, here's what you want to say. This might not be directly linked to racism in statements, but it's interesting when you use the word inmates. Okay, in a league that's 70% African American, and some of the causes that people are taking a knee for are prison reform, okay, are the mass incarceration in the prison industrial complex that people are talking about that's going on. People are trying to fight against these issues, and you have this guy calling a league that's 70% black inmates running the prison. And you also, when you say prison, you're assuming that these people are criminals. He didn't even say asylum. Yeah. As you brought up before, he said prison. I think we're getting to this point where now it's like, I do kind of look at some of these players like, what are you going to do? Because when is enough enough? When has it become so much disrespect that these guys are just saying stuff and you're going to be like, yo, this isn't about the paycheck anymore. This is beyond that. Sometimes I think when it comes to something, it becomes beyond that. And I think we might have already been to that point. We might have already passed that point.
Maybe.
We're beyond the kneeling, I'll say that. Yeah. It's beyond that. So now it's time for something different. If dudes who had high profile said, you know what, I'm sitting out, high profile guys, well, fans are going to be upset.
That's the next step.
Fans who actually care about what the players are protesting, which is a small amount, and the fans who actually like the sport, they're going to say, yo, what am I coming to see? Ain't nobody trying to come see these second-string quarterbacks or second-string running backs or wide receivers. Nobody's trying to see that.
We've had the kneeling. We've had the locking arms. So now the next step is just to not show up. That's what you're basically saying.
Yeah.
And I agree with that.
What does it go? This guy called you, people got upset when Trump said whatever. This guy's calling you
45.
Inmates. Yeah, I said his name here for the first time.
Yeah, we got to bleep that out.
Now people are saying, calling you inmates. Where's the line being drawn? It shows you what this guy thinks of his players. Like I said, it's not even just a racial thing. And I'll even put any white player, anybody else who's involved in this in the league, no matter what their ethnicity is. Right. There's no reason your boss should look at you as just being a disposable worker. Yeah. I think every worker wants to be respected. Fortunately, in today's capitalistic society, too many people in ownership look at you like that. So that is what you have, and I think that this is very problematic, and it's disgusting comments from Bob McNair, but I'm not surprised. Now he's saying that's not what he meant to say. He should have better. Could we stop?
Could we stop? You knew that was going to happen. The statement makes it worse, but in essence, I mean, it doesn't matter, like whether he puts out a statement after the fact or not.
But you know what, for me, when I heard the statement, my reaction was like, okay. And you know what? That's how I like my racism. I like my racism served up straight. I like knowing exactly where you stand, what you're about. Don't hide behind this. He came out and said it directly how he felt. This is him talking off the hip, talking. You know, he maybe didn't think exactly about his thoughts, but that's how he really feels. And that came out. I think Richard Sherman said the same thing. That's how he really feels. And I like my racism served straight up. I could look at Bob McNair, and if I saw Bob McNair here right now, I'd be like, I see you, bro. I know exactly what you're about.
I actually can't wait till the NFL season's over for this reason, because I want to see what happens after the fact, where, okay, now we've had all this turmoil going on this season between the owners and the players. I think the new CBA, the decision has to come on that relatively soon, and there's gonna be another lockout. Like, the way it's looking, I don't think there's not going to be a lockout, judging by like everything that's going on.
There's a lot going on.
And the league is already, I feel like the NFL's already peaked. I feel like now it's starting the very slow decline, and that eventual and probably inevitable lockout will accelerate that. I want to see what happens after the season in between, because we've already seen like Martellus Bennett. This is a big deal. Like, people are sleeping on this. Martellus Bennett just announced, I think it was yesterday, that he's going to retire after the season. That's pretty significant, because now he's not going to be working for the NFL any longer, which means, and we know Martellus Bennett, he's woke. He's very, very woke. He's been outspoken about this. He's someone that I think his brother Michael Bennett being another one, these are guys that are going to take action, rise up, and try to combat the NFL, the league that they used to work for, and they're trying to make a difference in those avenues beyond football upon their retirement. And Martellus Bennett is not that old either. Like, some of these guys,
he's only 30 years old.
They might,
30 or 32, I can't remember.
Players might start retiring early just to, get into their activism stages or whatnot.
Guys like these, I think, realize that there's a life beyond football. And I hope that more players realize that and the importance of things beyond the game of football. Yeah. Moving on to other problems in Houston, that Houston, man, it's just more L's.
Not Chris Paul's injury either.
But this is with baseball, and I don't think we've yet to actually really talk about baseball. And we're now in the World Series this week, so I think it's the first time we're actually talking about a baseball-related topic.
We'll mostly talk about baseball during times like this.
Yes.
Instead of
But we're in the World Series, and Dodgers are playing the Astros, and Yuli Gurriel did one of the dumbest things I've ever seen somebody do after hitting a home run. It's amazing. People get mad at bat flips, which I think those people are corny.
Yeah.
And you talked about that in the sports walk.
Oh, yeah. Not the people flipping the bats.
Not the people flipping the bats.
The people criticizing the people flipping the bats.
I think they're corny.
Y'all can pound sand.
Yuli Gurriel hits a home run off of Yu Darvish. Yuli Gurriel, just for context, is from Cuba.
Yeah.
Yu Darvish, just for context, is a Japanese pitcher.
Yeah.
Pitching for the Dodgers. He's formerly pitched for the Rangers.
Yeah.
Will be a free agent this year.
Yeah.
One of the best pitchers in baseball.
Baseball analysis.
And after Gurriel hits a home run, he goes back on the bench, clowning with some teammates. I'm not going to do this gesture, but he decided to pull the side of his eyes to make them look slanted, or more Asian feature-esque is what he attempted to do. Look, I'm going to be point blank on this. It's offensive. It's racist. It's wrong. Simply that. There's really nothing else to be said by that. Yuri Gurriel, is a 33-year-old man. I don't want to hear he didn't know. I don't want to hear he didn't know his offenses. You need to know better.
He played in Japan professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like, how did you think that was? How did you think that was funny?
I also thought that wasn't he in the dugout?
He was in the dugout, and the cameras caught him. Cameras still caught him doing it.
100% sure he thought he was like not being watched, which leads me to believe. I mean, maybe this isn't the first time he's done that. Maybe he hit a home run off of Michael Pineda and did something else before.
I don't think it's the first time that he's done it.
Not that it matters.
Not that it matters.
The first time,
I'm not buying his apology. Oh, I deeply offended everybody. Yo.
Yeah.
You
say that when you get caught.
I don't know what his feelings are towards the Asian people, the Asian community, but the bottom line is racist. My thing was, and I was talking to my friend the night it happened, and he's like, yo, what do you think Major League Baseball is going to do? And I said, yo, I think they're going to come down real soft on him. I think they're either going to fine him or they're going to suspend him for next season. What happened? Rob Manfred comes down with his decision and is like, oh, we're suspending Yuli Gurriel 5 games for next season.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
World Series.
Oh, so you can just do some racist stuff during the World Series, but we're not going to punish you during the World Series. We're going to just be like, oh, you'll play the next game, and maybe everybody will forget about it.
Yeah. 5 games of a 162-game season, by the way.
Yeah, really going to hurt the Astros. Really going to hurt Yuli Gurriel. Now, it hurts his pockets. He will lose about $300,000.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I think leagues need to send a message. If you did something like this at your job, I did something like this at the job I worked, anybody did something there, and you did something of that nature as a offense, you would find that direct punishment immediately.
Yeah.
There's been no waiting. So we're going to give it to you 7 months later, 6 months later, whatever the gap is?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
and
then
now
you could play the World Series.
And now he's going to take sensitivity training in the offseason, and that's going to change everything. And he's now had an apology to the Asian community who should be outraged and should be upset over this. And there are a lot of Asian baseball fans. Asia is one of the places where baseball is prominently played other than the United States and Latin America and parts of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of fan base there, Brian, and I think baseball dropped the ball, literally, in not suspending this guy immediately. Would it hurt the Astros? Yeah. But you know what? That sends a message to the league that racism is not tolerated here for anybody. And Yuli Gurriel, my message to you is you are also a minority. You should know better, bro.
Yeah.
You should know better.
And that kind of leads to my thing with this. Is like, a lot of people aren't paying that much attention to it. 1, because it's baseball, and 2, this isn't black and white racism, which, as we know, racism doesn't have to be black and white.
No, it does not.
So that's kind of why this has fallen under the radar, and it hasn't surprised me at all. But I agree. I think that if this was the NBA, for example, Adam Silver, I think he would have suspended whomever that player was for much longer
Even
than
if
just
it was
5
NBA
games.
Finals.
Probably would have been maybe he gets a game or 2 in the finals.
I'd have been fine with that.
Yeah.
I'd have been fine with that.
That holds a lot more magnitude than 5 regular season games.
I even would have been fine if they gave him 2 games in the World Series and the rest were, and he missed maybe the first month or so of the season. Maybe that's a little much.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
That would have said to me, hey, you're going to miss impactful games, and we're not just going to push this back to next season. But that's enough of that. Houston, be strong, do better. Please. All right, we're going to take it back. When we come back, we're going to talk some hip-hop. This guy right here, Bryan Fonseca, got some love from Uncle Joe Budden, who we're a fan of. He wrote a great article that Joe Budden showed him some love for.
Where's the sticker?
On there, right there. And he's got some love with Joe Budden. Joe Budden and his interaction with the Migos earlier this year, which I loved. I was here for that. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. We come back, we're going to talk a little hip-hop, what we've been listening to, some new albums that came out, what's going on, all on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. New sports web series is here. It's from Backpack Broadcasting, and it's called The Sports Walk. The Sports Walk is a series where diverse sports fans take a walk and share their views at the intersection of sports and society. The entire first season is now available on Backpack Broadcasting's YouTube channel and backpackbroadcasting.com. See what other sports fans have to say about a variety of issues in the world of sports. Watch all 13 episodes from season 1 and take the Sports Walk today. Welcome back to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Dexter Henry and Bryan Fonseca here. Thank you for watching on YouTube, listening on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Play. That's everything? That's everything. That's where you can find us. We are everywhere. Follow us at AHTT Podcast on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's where y'all can find us, talk to us, interact. Talked a lot about sports so far. We always like to try to get into some other stuff.
Yeah.
Right now, we're going to get into some hip-hop. And concerning hip-hop, you wrote an article this week that got some love. You wrote a feature on Joe Budden on why he's become one of the most prominent, influential people in hip-hop right now.
The most right now, probably.
Right now. And you wrote it for Def Pen, who you do some work for.
Yeah.
And Joe Budden gave it a great cosign, gave you the retweet, the cosign. I saw on Facebook you called it a top 5 moment in your career, which at some point we're going to have to go into that list of like top 5 moments in your career as a sports journalist. That's another topic for another day we have to do. I don't even know what those are. I kind of know some of them, but that would be good to do.
That's good for December.
Yeah, but
End of the year.
This is something that you said was important to you. I read the article. I thought it was a really great feature. Obviously, Joe Budden, he was feeling it too.
Yeah.
What inspired you to write this?
So I just came home one night, probably from working, and it was midnight, and I just kind of sat there in front of my computer. I had a document open. I had been wanting to put something else on Def Pen. I had some time. I guess you can call that time because I wasn't trying to go to sleep at like
Look,
midnight.
Time is money. And
I knew I didn't have to get up that early the next morning, so I just kind of sat there and it just kind of all hit me at once. Like, damn, I've been following Joe Budden for a minute. Pump It Up came out when I was 9. Exes and a whole bunch of other things, Padded Room and all that, other mood musics, like all that came out when I was in high school, basically. So I've been following him through then, in high school especially, because that's when Slaughterhouse formed. So I was really listening to him a lot there. And after that, you had No Love Lost, Some Love Lost, All Love Lost, Rage and the Machine, which actually, that was another thing, was that I know that the album came out a year ago.
Just before you wrote this.
Yeah, right around that time.
And you told me you were listening. You were really kind of listening to it again.
The whole week.
Yeah.
By Law. I've had it on repeat. I've rediscovered my love for that song. For example, 3. I love the intro, but things like that. So I had just been kind of following him and observing like how he's been building his podcast, how he's been building himself through everyday struggle and avenues like that.
On Complex, right?
Yeah, and with Nadeska Alexis and DJ Academics, and the growth and the transformation from being this guy who's been cool to be hated to now it's cool to love him. Like, it's been like remarkable.
Yeah, I'm not sure everybody does. Some people, Joe Budden's one of those people that's like, he's kind of polarizing in hip hop. A lot of people agree with him.
And we need that.
And some people don't, and sometimes it's a very generational divide, which is something you see on Everyday Struggle with him and DJ Academics, but it's actually a reason I enjoy watching the show. Yeah. I don't tend to agree with DJ Academics a lot, but I still appreciate the perspective of both of them on there, and I think that's really good in that. So good job for you on that article, and Joe Budden.
He said, y'all bodied this read. Thank you. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and that's some good love when you can get that. I would love to know what Joe Budden. I'm sure they'll talk about it this week on Everyday Struggle. What he thinks about an album that dropped last week. Big K.R.I.T's album, Forever Is a Mighty Long Time, dropped last week.
Finally.
It's been 3 years since his last release.
We've been talking about this because we're both big K.R.I.T fans.
Yeah.
I have a hard copy of Live from the Underground. Funny story is that I think that came out, I don't remember if it was 2011 or 2012, but I graduated high school in 2012.
Just showing your age, man. Just showing your age.
I was replaying the outro and like Don't Let Me Down, like a couple songs early, like on my way to like Sizzler after graduation with like my family and my homeboy Brandon.
I'm sorry, this is gonna be this came
up
the other day. Sizzler. Yeah. My boy asked me, he's like, yo, you remember Sizzler? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, what happened to Sizzler? And I was looking to see what has happened to Sizzlers on the East Coast. And they're like gone. The closest Sizzler to New York, where we record this podcast, is in Florida. Like, they don't exist on the East Coast. But my boy who I was speaking to, who lives in Arizona, he says there's still some out there. So Sizzler, that's just a random reference that you were going to Sizzler for graduation.
Yeah, it was kind of like my dad's go-to spot.
Sizzler.
Because there was one, like, it was a bus ride away from where I'm at in New York. But like we were going there, and I was just listening to that big K.R.I.T album, like just rerunning it. And this album.
Yeah, what do you think of this album?
Oh my God.
Double disc, and I have to say, before I got into it, double disc, 11 tracks on each side, one interlude on each disc. And I shouldn't say disc, but double album if you want to say. No, who buys CDs? I don't. But I always get nervous about double disc because I think there are very few double disc albums, double albums that I truly enjoy. I think Life After Death is the best double disc album that's ever been made in hip hop.
I was gonna name another double disc, but one, it's a mixtape, and 2, it's very far off from Life After Death.
I just think they generally have a lot of filler. They're not as concise and tight. So I was nervous about that, 22 tracks, but I was surprised. Let me know, what did you think of the album? Where do you stack it upon the hip hop albums of this year that you've liked? Or just like, do you think it's in there in that upper echelon of albums that have maybe been released this year?
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is that, it's early, but I heard Joe Budden, who we just spoke about, say something like this on Everyday Struggle not that long ago, where he's like, you can listen to the album, you don't know how good it is, I guess, right away, but you can tell what it's not. Like, it's not trash. Like, you can tell, like, it's sonically good. And
I agree with that.
With Big K.R.I.T's album, 22 songs, there's maybe 2, 3 that I'm like, whatever. Yeah. And the rest of it, I'm like, he did it. Like finally, because he had his thing with Def Jam, and I had realized that he hasn't been posting anything in a while. He's kind of gone quiet, and he finally released the album. So he was working on it for a while. He wanted to. I feel like this was one of those projects where maybe he made a bunch of songs, like 100 or something, and then he just cut a bunch of them. Get the best 22 he could, and probably didn't want to cut any more of it. I feel like a great story was told. I feel like
I agree.
I feel like this is all him. He had me right at the intro, because the intro is actually what I've been replaying the most. I love that song because it reminds me of Mount Olympus.
It does a lot.
Mount Olympus is one of my favorite hip hop songs, maybe ever, and that's definitely my favorite Big K.R.I.T song.
I think he definitely put everything. He said this was a quote from him. I think he tweeted this out. He put his heart and soul into this. I think he definitely did. I think sonically his album sounds great. I love the production. The lyricism, which you always know from K.R.I.T, is there.
Yeah.
I feel like he had his sound. He had his southern roots mixed in with a little classic soul.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And I think he made the album he wanted to make. There's no forced features. The features are really good. You've got Lloyd on this album coming back on a hook with a beat done by Manny Fresh.
Keep the Devil Off is my morning song.
You got T.I. You have UGK, Bun B with you got him on there. You got Jill Scott. You got Robert Glasper. If you're a big jazz fan like me, you like Robert Glasper's on there on some production. So this album is really sonically well, tells a good story and a good message. It's sort of like his coming of awareness of finding himself. Like he deals with this stuff through hip hop, and as you go through to the end of the first disc to the second disc, he's kind of finding the real self, because the discs are broken up into a Big K.R.I.T side and a Justin Scott side, his real name, and he's finding this awareness of himself and happiness, and so it's really good. It's really personal. I think the second disc is really personal. I probably actually like it better than the first disc. But it's really strong album. I think people should hear it. I think it's one of the better projects that have come out this year. I think some good projects have come out this year, and I think it's up there.
It's barbershop time. It's barbershop time. We got to do it.
I think it's really
where is it? Where is it?
There are a higher level of projects that have come out this year, which I think 444. I thought All American Badass. I thought
Damn.
I put Damn. I put Rhapsody's album in there.
You Only Live Twice.
That's not going there. But I think this is right there in those albums. I think are some of the better projects that I've heard so far this year. So I really have it up there. I think I got to sit with it more.
Yeah.
But I've listened to the album about 5 times through, and I'm really like, yo, this is solid.
I want to finish digesting it too, but I want to get into. We had a little bit of a debate early on before we got in here. Our rating system. So we were talking about albums. This is kind of general now. We were talking about albums that are like 8 out of 10 at least, and 8 out of 10 is very good, just about great. 8.5 is great, whatever. But I had said that this was probably the best year in hip hop since, I don't know, 2012-ish, maybe. Maybe even before that. I don't know what was the last great year in hip hop, but I say that to say there's been a lot of great albums this year. I could have put together a top 10 of albums that have been at least very good. You're probably not going to agree with all of them. However, I think that this year's been very strong. I think K.R.I.T's album is going to be there, in that top 10.
I don't know if there's a consensus great album out of groups that we said. There's some that are very close. I think 444 is very close.
Damn is a consensus.
I don't think it's great. I think it's very good. I don't think it's great.
Yeah. No. I agree with that. I think that one, people generally
like it.
Yeah.
In my book, I don't know if there's a bona fide classic this year. And I think let's sit with things a little bit more that's dropped this year that you may have had in 2012, like a Good Kid, Mad City. But I think that it has been a good year. We've talked about this before. There's no doubt it's been a good year for hip hop. I've liked that. We'll see what else comes out towards the end. Yeah. But I think there's been some quality albums with some personal reflection and depth of topics talked to. 444, Rhapsody's album, even Joey's album. I think people have gotten real personal, and so
You Only Live Twice.
In that regard,
it was very personal.
I'm going to ignore the Freddie Gibbs love.
It was yo.
We're gonna ignore the Freddie Gibbs.
You want to get me started?
No,
you want to get me?
Hey, we don't. We don't want to get you started. Nobody does. Nobody wants to do it. I thought the Freddie Gibbs album. I put that in the good range.
No. But I'm saying it was personal.
Yeah,
so when you're talking about personal projects, a man who went to jail in another country,
the Freddie Gibbs story,
for a rape that he did not do, and was acquitted of all the charges, almost quit music, had to go on a therapist, and made Crushed Glass? Come on, man.
Look, Crushed Glass is a song for everybody. He wasn't eating crushed glass. But for everybody, you can see that Bryan is well-versed in Freddie Gibbs. No, I think it's been a really good year.
Vince Staples. You said that you okay. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I messed with the Vince Staples album because I finally got around to listening to it, and it's a very different sound sonically. You got a very good fusion of hip hop with EDM, and I thought it was a very interesting fusion. And I liked it. I found myself really liking it. I actually listened to it on 2 listens, one while walking with headphones on and the other in my car. And I was like, yo, I really was vibing with a lot of songs. I really liked the first single off the album anyway. I'd really been Big Fish. I've been playing that for a while. But to sit through it, it's very different. I don't think it's an album I'm always going to consistently go back through. But I really liked what Vince Staples did there. And I like people who are, this is what I say about hip hop, I like people who are trying to push the genre, right? Not trying to stay in a box. Any artists that aren't trying to stay in a box, anything sonically, I think there are artists who do that. I think even K.R.I.T did that. I think Rhapsody did that. I think Kendrick, even on his album, did that. Is not staying in a box and trying to experiment with different sounds, but also not being afraid to talk about things personally. I think that's what makes hip hop great. And you have some artists who are doing that right now. Before I want to get us to, because we know sometimes we don't get into another topic. But there's some stuff that we've talked about, like, yo, we got to talk about this on the show, or should we talk about this at a completely random and come up all the time? And Bryan, before we get on the show today, came up to me with a completely
I want to talk
random question.
Can I talk about why? Am I allowed to talk?
I was like, yo, where does this come from?
Am I allowed to talk about why?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
you can tell what the topic is too, because this is random as hell.
Will I be giving too much? Lewis, I'm looking at you. Will I be giving too much info away if I bring this up to the people? Do you care about your
Lewis, our director of photography?
Yes.
Who is here?
Do you care about your sanity, your privacy? Or should I just bring it up?
I don't really care, man. Like, it's...
Okay, you don't care. Basically...
Wow, okay, wow. Wow, all right, never mind.
So I was strolling to the bathroom, right? And he was there. He was taking a dump. And while he was doing that, I'm not being very subtle.
Yeah, you put him out there.
Yeah, so while he was doing that, I asked him, do you stand...
I didn't say you could say all that, bro. Like, what the hell? Like, you don't got to be that brash, my man. Like,
yo, now he can not only take a dump in peace, he now has you putting it out there on a podcast.
This is an important...
But, I mean, this is what everybody... Look, who cares? Everybody's got to do it. Nobody cares. Who cares?
Yeah, and the world is not listening to this yet. So this is important that we get
this is out there for the world to listen to.
Yes, but this is important that we get this out there now.
Okay.
So I asked him, does he stand or does he sit when he wipes? He said that he sits. I said that I stand, and he said that was weird. And the reason why I bring that up is because I remember hearing on Le Batard show, they had a fight about the standing wipers finding the sitting wipers weird and the sitting wipers finding the standing wipers weird. Y'all are looking at me funny, but this is an important...
Right. So
I think it's interesting to ask another person that in the bathroom.
Yeah, that was one thing. First of all,
that's because I
didn't hear it the way he heard it, but I heard it from like a Buzz video. They did a whole video where they did like a debate between people who are standers and sitters.
So we're not alone here.
Yes, but at the same time, I was in the bathroom in my own privacy, and you were just like, yo.
I had to rinse out,
No. I mean, but just get back to the point here. You interrupted a private moment of him taking.
No, he spoke to me first.
All right, let's not get all that.
All right, so if I walk into the bathroom, somebody knows it's me, and I'm taking a dump, and they speak to me, I'm the person's like, yo,
Dex.
Yo, man, what do you do when you take a dump? You stand and wipe, or you sitting and wipe?
Yeah, that was random. It caught me off guard. It did catch me off guard. I mean, I've heard it before, so I was just like, wait, what? But I was just like, okay.
That's like, and here's the thing. I have never thought to ask anybody that. I've never thought about what anybody else is doing and how they wipe. And to be quite honest, I don't care. Like a legitimate.
Oh wait, so do you stand or sit?
Hold on.
Yo,
you're missing the point.
Why you guys so serious? You guys so serious?
Thank you. That's what I want to know.
No, here's the thing. I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
Number one, I don't care what somebody does.
Okay.
So he made up an interesting point that some people are upset. The standards.
Yo, this isn't racism, bro. You could just say no.
Hold on.
You're going extra.
I got something to say. The standards. He said some standards are upset about sitters. And sitters or upset about standards, or they think it's weird. That's what you said.
Yeah, both think the other is weird for doing the other.
I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's weird because I think it depends on the situation, where I am, and what it is I'll do. Sometimes comfortably at home, I might sit down and wipe. Sometimes I might stand and wipe. I mean, I don't think it.
How about home, guys?
matters.
You're all seeing like the passion that he's saying this with. He's saying it was the utmost passion, like it's a serious
No, there's no
topic.
passion. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that it's so passionate to have a question. That's what I think. I think it's kind of ridiculous.
I think sitting is uncomfortable.
Oh, my
and doing
gosh.
it. What? I'm just saying. I think sitting and doing it is uncomfortable.
I think
that's just my opinion.
I think people do
So that's
whatever.
why when you asked me if I stand, I was like, yeah. You said weirdo, and then I said you're a weirdo because I think you're weird to having sit there, and just.
See, it's funny because that's not the toilet thing that I think, the bathroom etiquette thing that I think is weird.
Let's get into
the
it.
The bathroom etiquette thing that I think is weird, I think it only happens in your personal bathroom.
Oh, I know what he's
that
gonna
goes
say.
on, is how do you place your toilet roll?
Oh.
Are you somebody who
I don't
just
care.
That's not
pull
it.
down?
That's
Yo.
not it.
That's not it. Man is leaving it. I
Don't
think,
hit the cord.
I think two people who have the toilet paper hanging as you pull down instead of pulling from the top, I think those people are weird.
That is weird, but I thought you were going to go, what do you do in the bathroom stall when there's one person there and there's 4 stalls and the dude comes and pisses next to you? I could say piss, right? And a dude comes and pisses next to you.
Never cared.
What? We were
What do you
talking.
do? What do you do?
But we were talking.
What are you going to do? If I'm taking a piss, I'm going to keep pissing.
If it's a random dude, would you not feel uncomfortable if like literally there's a whole bunch
You
of
don't
stalls
just
and he
be
goes
like-
right next to you?
Like the meme where all
Honestly,
those
man,
bathroom stalls is there and one
Honestly,
dude is there and
if
the other
it's
dude
me,
just
I like
walks
to
over.
give people their space.
Exactly.
But if somebody comes next to me, I'm just going to be like, well, what am I going to do?
Nah, I mean, like I'm gonna be like, what can I do?
Because here's the thing. You're not going to feel differently if there's 2 stalls. There's 2 stalls. What you going to do?
Oh, duh. But that's,
So,
but like,
because you're
no,
different.
But that's
There's-
You're
different.
not using all the options
No,
that you have.
That's different. Yeah, that's different
kind of
though.
different. You work with what you have, but yeah, you work with what you have. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, but like,
When I come closer, I would give somebody their space. If somebody does that, I'm gonna feel like, okay, whatever. Maybe they want it to be.
nah,
close.
man, I'm gonna just look at you the type of way like, why are you trying to get so close to me? There's mad room over there. Go,
Maybe they
give me my
like you.
personal space, huh?
Maybe they like you.
Man, I'm good.
When you go to the movie theater with dudes, do you sit one seat apart or do you sit right next to them?
Here we go.
All right, at this point, all right.
This is
all right.
important.
It's
Yo,
Here's
no.
the thing. All that stuff I used to talk about.
We're not wrapping up the show
No,
yet.
and now I realize how immature that stuff was to worry about who you're sitting next
Okay,
to.
tell
Well, you're
your story.
talking to a 21-year-old and what, a 24-year-old? So it's just like
I'm not 24
Yeah,
yet.
23.
23-year-old.
All right,
and a
I'm off on you.
I will be
21-year-old Louis.
24 at a later date.
And you know what? And you know what I have to say?
Freddie Gibbs.
No, it's immature and nobody cares. Doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You guys will learn that. This has to be the most interesting, ridiculous topic that we've talked about on the show.
This is what I want more of. I want more of this.
Oh, I thought you wanted more Freddie Gibbs. Well, on that note,
He's going on tour soon.
On that note, he's not a promoter. He's a promoter for Freddie Gibbs.
No free promotion.
Of course, now he's a promoter for Freddie Gibbs. We want to thank you guys.
Wait, but you didn't
for-
answer the question.
What
Do you
question?
sit next to them or do you just sit a seat apart?
As I said, I haven't.
Stay tuned for the next
tuned
podcast
for
where you'll find the
Yeah, you
answer.
can find that answer out on the next podcast
Yes.
of A
With or without a guest, we will get to the bottom
We
of
will get
this.
to the bottom. Maybe we'll start asking
Maybe
our guests
literally.
these ridiculous questions. Maybe that's what'll happen. We'd like to thank everybody for listening today. Remember, you can listen to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn. You can watch it on YouTube. We thank you if you watched as well too. That's it for episode 7. 7 episodes already of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Thank you for listening to all the topics. Comment, share, tweet at us. Let us know what you think.
Help us grow this thing.
Help us grow the thing. We
And girls.
appreciate the support. And before I go, I do want to thank people who, again, supported the live show, who have been supporting us, who've been supporting our gear with tee.pub and checking out our store and rocking the gear and really supporting us. I want to definitely say a thank you to those people. So everybody who supported, please continue to support. We continue to grow, and we appreciate that. Thank you. More good news to come soon. Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. It's Bryan Fonseca. You know what he does in the bathroom now. Now you know what I do in the bathroom. Dexter Henry, signing off.
Stand when you wipe.
Yo, standards are weird.
That's so freaking ridiculous and random. Like, it's so ridiculous and random. That's why I said, I was going to